Hey everybody, and welcome to another bass lesson. Today we are talking about playing some blues. It's a vibe, it's great, it's a lot of fun to learn how to play blues, to jam, to have a little bit of freedom of improvisation and all that good stuff. So today we are going to specifically talk about a way to play a shuffle. Now there are lots of different ways to play the shuffles, different shuffles like Chicago shuffle, Texas shuffle, Memphis shuffle, there's all kind of shuffles. But today we're going to talk a little bit about a Texas shuffle feel and tunes that are kind of somewhere around like Pride and Joy or T-Bone Shuffle, things like that. This is a bass line that you can use to play just a general Texas shuffle and kind of play into songs like the ones I just mentioned. So if you want to get tab or notation for this, please head over to my Patreon page. If you want to get the 12-Bar Blues Survival Pack to learn how to play this and many other blues feels, please head over to my website, ryanmedora.com. But in the meantime, we're going to talk a little bit about this particular feel and how to play this bass line. So we're going to be working in the key of E, and so the first thing we do when we want to say, hey, we're playing a shuffle in E, what we want to do mentally is we want to find our 1, 4, and 5 chords. So as we do so, I'm going to say, hey, we're in the key of E. That means I can play my open E or my E here at the 7th fret of my A string, and that's kind of going to be my home bass. Like this guy right here is really going to be my definitive E that I think about playing. As we go to our 4 chord in our 12-bar blues progression, our 4 is going to be A, so we can find either this higher A or this lower A. You can find that by going from your 1 chord, which is E, go 1, 2, 3, 4. You're like, oh, there's our 4. Or you could go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, land on that 4 down here. You'll see that both places are A's. And then our 5 is going to be B, so that's just going to be a whole step up right here. So either on the 7th fret of your E string or the 9th fret here of your D string. So again, our 1, 4, and 5 chords in the key of E are going to be E, A, and B. So those are kind of going to be our most important places to make sure we hit. Again, if you're new to the 12-bar blues, we're going to be following a form of 4 bars on the 1 chord, which is going to be E, 2 bars on the 4 chord, which is A. We're going to return to our E for 2 bars. Then we're going to go 1 bar on our B, the 5 chord, 1 bar on A, the 4 chord, and then we're going to return to our 1, and then do a little something, something at the very end of our chord progression and go back to our 5, the B. So if you'll hear the track, follow along here. The 12-bar blues is a really important thing for you to have under your fingers. And the pattern that we're going to do is really going to be based upon playing the root, the lower 5th, the flatted 7th, the major 7th, and then back to the root. So the pattern is going to sound like this. Now there are variations to this. There's all kinds of shuffle patterns, but this one I kind of pulled in from the Albert Collins version of the T-Bone Shuffle, which is done in a different key, but you know, you might play the T-Bone Shuffle in any key. Who knows? Whatever the person you're playing with calls, that's where you're going to play it. This bass line is very similar to that one, and it's just like a general good blues shuffle bass line. But we're playing the root, the lower 5th, so we're going from E to B, and then we're going to walk it from our D back to the E, or our flat 7th major or natural 7th back to E. So it's going to sound like this. And I'm going to give it that shuffle feel of these shuffled eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Then I can move that same pattern over to my 4 chord, A. And I can come back to my 1. I can go to my 5 chord, B, and play it up here. Now when I do that, I'm going to change my pattern just slightly. I'm going to go root, lower 5th, flat 7th, and root again. So I'm kind of skipping my major 7th. So instead of going like that, I'm just going to kind of skip that middle note there, because I want to have time to transition to the next chord. And when I play this note, it sets up my root note of where I'm about to land again on my 1. But since we're only on our 5 chord for 1 bar, I don't want to set up the B again. We don't want to land here. We want to make sure that we move to our A chord. So instead, I'm going to change the pattern and go root, 5th, 7th, root, and then do that same thing, and then come back to my E. So again, we have this pattern where we normally would play, if we go back to our E chord, root, 5th, flat 7, major 7, 1. But we only want to play that major 7 if we are returning to the 1. So that means that as we move to our 4 chord, we might change our pattern for that very last time. Here's the first time we can use it, second time we can use it, third time we can use it, fourth time, 5th, flat 7, skip this note, just go right to our regular root note, and then go straight to your 4 chord. So that very last time, that 4th bar, now we're going to go to our 4 chord. So just know that whenever you play a major 7th, that's really going to firmly set up landing on your 1. But because we're shifting chords, we don't want to set up our E, we want to set up our A chord. So that's why we're going to change our pattern just a little bit. So it'll sound kind of all like this. Here's that little change. Go right to your A chord. Again, that second time, that second bar of my A chord, I can do my, second version of the pattern. Just that one, because I want to return to my E. So you can kind of see that we can change our pattern just slightly depending upon whether we are returning for another bar of the chord we're on, or if we want to change it a little bit so that we can better set up the chord that we're going to. That's a really important thing. So as you play your way through the blues, kind of think about those little nuances that you can make to change your pattern to just make it feel a little bit more musical. And this is a really good way to do it. And then if you want to get creative with it from a right hand standpoint or another technical standpoint, you can kind of add dead notes. So instead of playing 2 regular 8th notes or shuffled 8th notes on the beat 1, you can play a single note, you could play a dead note, and then play your lower 5th. You can elongate your notes, you can go. Hear how I played that dead note there? That's another great way to spice it up, add a little spice to your bass line. So again, there are a lot of things to unpack here, but the core of it is knowing that you can kind of take a regular part, like a cool little shuffle bass line, change it a little bit depending upon whether you're staying on a chord for multiple bars or you're moving to another chord for a bar. And just that little change is really going to add a lot to make your bass line feel more authentic. So again, if you want to get tab or notation or a backing track for this lesson, please head over to my Patreon page. You'll find it there. And then also don't forget to grab the 12 Bar Blues Survival Pack. That's going to have backing tracks and notation and nuances, little lessons for all different kinds of blues feels, and that can be found at ryanmedoric.com. So hope you have a great day, happy practicing, and keep it groovy.